Hello there, welcome back to the bench for part 3 of the Bandai 172 scale X-Wing build. Just to update you as to where I am so far, finished the 4 red 5 marking panels on the wings. I've also done some colouring here on the engine wells, or engine casings, or what you call them. I haven't done anything on the underside because the reference photograph I have for that is absolutely pants. So I don't know what to do about that. I maybe try and have a look online, see what else I can find, but that's for another day. Anyway, what we have done so far is I got a wee bit carried away with myself. I get to the weathering stage and I just go nuts. That's my favourite part of building models, is getting to the weathering stage, because that's when the whole thing really starts to come together. What I done first and foremost was I shot a mist of dark grime over the whole ship, slightly less in the inside of the wings here, just because, well, ordinarily we're in this formation, and then only really when it's time to get down to the serious business. That's a bit sticky. Let me break that. Only really when it's time to get down to the business, the X-Wings open up their wings. So I figured that it would make sense to have slightly less grime and dirt in there, although there's still a good build up, because, you know, I think the idea is that these ships are quite old, and so, you know, they've seen a bit of action over the years. So even in those sort of recessed, or those closed parts, that still you know, gather dirt and soot and whatnot. Anyway, so when I'm misting that, I'm a good 10-12 inches away from the model. You're holding your airbrush quite high up, away back from the model, and you're just spraying it very lightly, and you're just building that layer up until you get this. I don't know how well it's translating on camera, but to me here, it looks really nice. We've not got the stark white that we had, the reefer white. We've now starting to get a sort of more aged vintage colour. What we've also been doing is doing a wee bit of, as John Simmons would describe, ILM style of washing, using 1975 SP Lark Dark Grey. I didn't know this, but I learned this for John Simmons as well. Apparently, when we're doing, what do you call them, sort of blast marks and carbon and scoring and all that kind of stuff, it's best not to use a black. Apparently grey is the colour that's used, or a dark grey. And actually I've done it in a couple of models now. I'd seen this in a video a while back, and I'd built one of these wee small Revell snow speeders for my wee boy to hang for the ceiling in his room. And I thought I'm going to try that and see how it works out, and do you know what? Night and day. It's so easy to go so heavy-handed with the black, and it just looks too dark. When you go in with the darker greys, it just looks far better. You get a much more realistic look, I would say. But anyway, so there's a good tip for you. Give it a try, you'll not regret it. So we've not quite got to the stage where we're doing all the blast marks yet, but that'll be fairly soon, hopefully. I'm about to pack up for the night. It's now, oh, it can't be far off 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still potting about it here in the garage, talking to myself and painting models. Rock and roll lifestyle or what, eh? Just very briefly, in terms of weathering, some of the other colours that I'm looking to bring in to the model are 1975 Weather Black. This is a great colour as well. Although it looks like a grey, there's a purpley colour off it, and you think that wouldn't work, but my god, it really does. It's just a smashing colour, so that will be used to accent. Once we've used the SP Lark Dark to do the blast marks, we'll use this to accent some of that and just make some of the marks stand out. And another colour apparently is very, very common across a lot of the models is foundation. So there'll be some blasts of that going on here and there. 1975 mud, I believe, features at some of the parts in the model as well. So that'll probably make an appearance potentially. I'll need to double check that one though. I'll look it up. We'll find out online, but I'm sure it does. And rust, 1975 rust. I love this colour. I mean, this is probably one of the best colours. The ILM, some dried in bits here. Never cleaned it properly last time I used it. ILM really, ILM, sorry, my apologies. Archive X, Guy Cowan. Well, I mean, I suppose it's a reproduction of the flow quill colour, but they really knocked it off with this one. It just looks like real rust. I love it, and I know there's different colours of rust. There's all different browns and stuff, but for the kind of what most people think is a rust colour, this is it. It just great colour. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the grime, it really has. It just gives it a vintage look. There's almost a kind of peachy brown colour. Although it's a grey, there is almost a peachy brown colour, depending on the angle and the light that you look at it in. And I think that's probably one of the things I like about these paints is when you apply a colour, a green or a blue or a red or a pink or grey or whatever it is that colour. But depending on what light you look at it in, it just changes slightly, and it just sets the whole thing off, sets the whole model off. I really like it. Anyway, so next part of the video, we'll move on. I'm going to pack up for tonight, and I'll pick this up over the next few days when I get the chance. You'll see I've been using the wash in this engine part here as well, and starting to build up that kind of carbon used engine look. Anyway, sorry, I digress again. See, I'm getting too excited here with the weathering. I could just go a bloody night doing bits of weathering. But I'm quite sure my wee boy will need fed at some point through the night, the wee baby, and I'm quite sure my wife will be wondering where the hell I am as well, so she'll post me a message shortly. Anyway, I'm going to get in the house, and I shall see you guys in a bit. Cheers. Right, that's us ready to go now. So a couple of the blast marks that we're going to look at will be on the left hand upper wing. So you can see with the reference pictures, we've got a nice big thick one here, a bit of sort of carbon sort of gathering here, and a nice running blast mark down here as well. So I think this is the kind of areas that we're going to focus on just now. Pardon me. So again, battering into this with the old 1975 SP Lark Dark. So the first one really kind of runs in line with this panel here that we done earlier with the lettering grey, this one here. So we'll just start beyond, get the airbrush going. Hang on a wee minute, let's bring my light in this side, sorry about this. Right, I know that probably looks quite stark on the camera. How's that? Is that any better? That's not too bad. And it means that I can see that okay. So we'll get the airbrush going, and well, the technique here is just to get a bit of paint flowing through the airbrush, and then draw it back, and then we'll build that up. There we go. I don't want to go a bit too nuts. It's probably slightly thicker than the one that's in the reference picture, but you know, we're no dying in the ditch about that. Right, there we go. Let's get in here and just rebuild up. In fact, we'll just mask off this part here. Let me see if I can put that airbrush down, so that we're not going to get a build up of paint on the panel above. We're really just looking to get, let's just close these wings just now. Yep, there we go. We're not going to get the paint on the panel above, we're really just getting it where we want, and it helps break lines up and define things a bit better. And we can use this paint just to get the brush going, get the flow of paint just the way we like it. There we go. So that's what we're looking for there. But that carbon build up, he's obviously been shot with something there. So then what we've got is we've got a bit more just in this area here. So if we look at the reference photograph, we've actually got two in this panel here. We've got one running right along in here, and then one bit more in the middle here. So we'll mask off this bit of the engine, just to again protect that, and then if we need to we can run over it again. So I just move it again. I should do that. Don't want to get too heavy. Yep. I mean, I do get a bit, not frightened of it, but I can be quite heavy-handed at times. And then I get really annoyed with myself because I've actually spent all this time putting down a base coat on a model, and then I've battered in with my big clumsy hands, and then I've ended up messing it. And you know, it's a bit soul destroying when you spent all that time doing a model, and you need to basically go back to the scratch again, and clean it up and reapply a bit of base coat, and you know, so I like to try and get it right first time. I'm actually just going to put a wee bit more in there. Yeah, I should do that. So I don't like to go in too heavy. The paint's starting to dry a wee bit slightly on the tip. See what I mean? Done it again. Right, let's see. Can we rescue this quickly before there's a wee bit of that clean up. Get some water and some cleaner there, so let's just see if we can rescue it. Oh, I think we might just be able to. We've undone the good work we've done just a minute ago. Well, not entirely, but I mean, that's okay. Right, where were we? Get a wee blast with the hairdryer. Right, let's try again. Big dumpling heat, so where were we? This probably isn't very exciting, but the whole point of this is really just to kind of document and log my modelling processes, so that, you know, if people want to try it for themselves, they can. That was probably a bit lower down than I wanted it to be, but given that we'd made an absolute backside of that, yeah, it's not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. However, it's what we've got. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. It's not so bad, isn't it? Like I said, we're not going for an absolute exact replica. We're going for something that you would look at it and go, wow, that looks like Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. We're not looking for absolute screen accuracy. not incomplete. I mean, we're going for screen accuracy in terms of the colours that are getting used, but maybe not in each and every individual marking. I mean, I think it would probably, I wouldn't say impossible, but it would be really, really difficult to replicate every mark, stain, scratch, blast mark on a model like this, just because it's so unique, so random. It's hand painted. They're one of a kind, really. That's where we're at. Love doing this. It's great fun. Can be frustrating, but it's good to sort of, I don't know, unwind, if you like. It's a good thing to do, to unwind. And I get a sense of satisfaction at the end of it, because I've created something that looks a wee bit like something I seen on the telly when I was a wee guy. I'm not going to lie, I still watch the films religiously. With my wee boy, but in particular, he's really getting into it. As I think I said that before. It's just great fun. Anyway, stop rabbiting on. Right, let's try and get this blast mark done. So I'm going to just lift it up for this. Give it paint going. The paint's been sitting in the airbrush for a wee while now, so it's kind of drying on the tip and whatnot. Right, I'll get that going. Just give that a wee mix. Right. There we go. That should be. Let's cook in the gas now. So we're just going to start off in the masking tape here, and then we're just going to draw it down. I'll draw the airbrush down to create the blast marks. So here we go. There we go, let's see where are we at with that. Oh yeah, pleased with that. Absolutely pleased with that. So we've got a very, very defined line here, so we can break that up slightly just by just adding a wee bit here. There we go. That's pretty good. I'm really pleased with that one. I've got a nice blast mark there. He's been shot in the engine or whatever. Probably looks a wee bit darker actually on the camera than it does in reality. I don't know if that's just me or not. But hey, aye. Right, I'm going to crack on with a few more. I'm not going to bore the arse off everybody. Actually, what I did say I was going to do very briefly was a panel wash. Just add a wee touch more thinner into that dark lark that's already on my airbrush. Get that mix. Sorry, excuse me. Bear with me a wee second. Right, so what we'll do is, pardon me, we'll just catch this wee panel in here because it's easily accessible and you can see it. So, tip of the airbrush right down into the area that you want to apply the wash to. Get there going, and then just flood some paint into it, and you'll see it. And what we want to do is just using the air, just knock it about a wee bit. Oh, that's a wee bit too much there. So what we can then do is cheat and use a wee cotton bud just to tidy up these wee corners there. There we go. There we go. And now we've got a stained area, a wash, and I'll just like to see how that dries up. What we actually get left with when we do this is tide marks. You can see, you'll see bits, in fact there's one there, there's a tide mark there. Yep, so those are tide marks here as well. You can see, I don't know how well you can see that. So the paint, although it's thin, the undercoat's still shining through, and then, you know, it lightens it up. It leaves a line with the two defined colours, so it just looks like stains and blobs and splashes and whatnot. You'll see some tide marks in there as well. It just adds all to the weathering effect, and then we can mist these back again if we need to, at points, depending on if we, you know, whether it turns out to your liking or not. You know, if you look and you think, nah, I'm not really happy with that, you can always just mist over it again, lighten it up and build up the colours again that you're looking to do, or change it around a bit. We've got some areas in here that are needing a bit more wash applied to, just like this bit in here. And just adds to the worn look to the model. By blowing that about, you're going to create random patterns. Paint's going to pull in different areas. It's going to darken bits. It's, you know, you're going to have lightened up bits in others, and it leaves you with a really, really nice effect. I'm really pleased with that. You get in here as well. Sometimes it's just nicer than, a bit more random than some of these panel washes. Don't get me wrong, love a good panel wash. They really set off models, make them look the part, give it a real added level of realism. But this is a different technique altogether. I think the important thing to remember about this technique is these models were painted to look good on camera. So when you look at them with the naked eye, they're not going to be, you know, true life, absolutely amazingly perfect. However, when they're filmed, when they're on camera, that's when they really stand out and come out on their own. And so I think that's probably worth remembering. But actually, when you see them sitting, they just look like they belong in Star Wars. It just has that look about them. You see what I mean once it's done. Anyway, right, I'm going to tie this video up again. I know I keep saying I'm not going to make it to that last one. Part 2 I think was half an hour long. I wasn't really want to make it as long as that. If I can help it. I'm sure people don't want to have to, you know, sit and go through hours and hours of me talking rubbish just so they can see a couple of techniques. But I just like to document what I'm doing, chat about it. Anyway, if you've gotten this far, thanks again for listening or watching, and see you in the next one. Cheers.